Okay, this video is going to take you through the study guide for our mid-unit test that we're going to have tomorrow. So if you look at the very first question on there, the directions say to write and solve the equation. So you're going to be getting points not only for solving the equation, but also having it written the correct way. So it says Mark has a certain amount of money. If he spends $20, then he has 2/5 of the original amount left. How much money did he have originally? So remember, we just take this and we write this exactly how it reads. Mark had a certain amount of money. We don't know how much money he had, so that's going to be our X. He spends $20. Well, you know that anytime you spend money, you are subtracting it. So as we start to form our equation, it's going to start with X minus 20 equals, and then it said when he spent $20, then he had 2/5 of the original amount left. So that means that would have to equal 2/5 of, which means times, the original amount that he started with, which was X. And now we're just going to solve this. We don't have the distributive property anywhere. We can't combine like terms. First thing we have to do is to get the x's on one side. So remember, in front of this x, there's actually a 1 there. So to make this a little easier on myself, I'm going to subtract 2/5 x from each side. So when I do that, 1 minus 2/5 is 3/5. You still have the x there. Still have minus 20. But when you do this, over here, 2/5 x minus 2/5 x is 0. That cancels out. Then we're going to add 20 to each side. So 3/5 x equals 20. And then to get the x by itself, we need to divide by 3/5 on each side. Now, whenever you do this, whenever you're dividing numbers and fractions, remember you do KFC. Keep the first one, flip the second one, and change it to multiplication. And then you just go straight across. 20 times 5 is 100. 1 times 3 is 3. And then whenever I divide that out, you end up getting 33.3 repeating. Now the question asked, how much money did he start out with originally, which that was just the X that we started out with. So it's $33.33 is what he started out with. Okay, moving on to the next one. It says 4 consecutive numbers have a sum of 146. What are those numbers? So we have 4 numbers. They're all in order. They have to add up to 146. So here's my 4 numbers. They have to add up to 146. Now, we don't know anything about those numbers. So the first one will be X. And since they are consecutive, they're in order, the next one you would do X plus 1, then X plus 2, then X plus 3. If it had said consecutive even numbers, it'd be X, X plus 2, X plus 4, X plus 6. Same exact thing. If they are consecutive odd integers, it would be X, would still be X plus 2, X plus 4, X plus 6, even though they're odd. So first thing we need to do is combine our like terms. So I'm going to combine all my x's together and all my regular numbers together. So we have 4 x's there. 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you add the numbers, 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6. Subtract 6 from each side. And you get 4x equals 140. Divide by 4 on each side, and you get x to equal 35. Now, they asked you what the four numbers would be that would add up to 146. Our first number was x, so that was 35. Our second number, you just add one, add another one, add another one. So 35, 36, 37, and 38. All right, moving on to the next one. It says Sarah is reading a book that has 276 pages. She read some of it last week. She plans to read 20 pages tomorrow. By then, she will be 2/3 of the way through the book. How many pages did she read? And it says yesterday. Go ahead and scratch out where it says yesterday. And we're going to change that to last week. So go ahead and change that. Okay, so she read a book that has 276 pages. She read some of it last week. We have no idea. That's your X. She's going to read 20 pages tomorrow. So as I set this up, she read some last week, don't know. She's going to read 20 pages tomorrow. And then it says at that time, by then she will be 2/3 of the way through the book. Well, the book had 276 pages in it. So if she's 2/3 of the way, we'll just take 2/3 times 276. First thing we can do is take 2/3 times 276. If I grab my calculator here, I'm going to take 276 times 2 and divide that by 3. And you get 184. And then subtract 20 from each side. So X equals 164. So the question asked, how many pages did she read last week? Well, it was just the X that represented last week. So our answer is 164 pages. Okay, on this next section, all we're doing is looking at the equation that they've given us, and they want to know if it has a unique solution, which means does it just have one solution? Will it have no solutions, or will it have infinitely many solutions? So let's look at the first one here. 3x minus 5 equals 14. So without even solving that, my x is only on one side. That tells me right there that it's going to get to the point where it says x equals some number. So for this one, it's going to have one solution because x equals, and I'll just put some number. I don't even need to worry about solving it. Okay, on the next one, it says 5 times the quantity of y plus 3 equals 20 minus 6y. Well, I know if I use the distributive property right here, I would get 5y plus 15. So that means I have 5y on the left-hand side, negative 6y on the right-hand side. So that means they're not going to cancel each other out. It's not the exact same. So this is going to have one solution because there are a different number of y's on each side. Y will equal some number. And again, we don't even have to figure it out. They just simply want to know how many solutions is it going to have. Okay, the next one. We have 14x plus 4 equals 6x plus 4 plus 8x. So there's nothing to do on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, I can combine the x's. 6x plus 8x is 14x. So this side would also become 14x plus 4. So you can see that each side of the equal sign will be identical. So these will have infinitely many solutions because each side equals 14x plus 4. All right, next one in this set. Same question. We have 3 times the quantity of x minus 4 equals 3x minus 8 minus 4. So on the left, if I use the distributive property, I would get 3x minus 12. On the other side, we just have the 3x, but you can combine the 8 and 4. Now notice, right in front of the 8 is a negative sign, so that's negative 8 minus 4 would be a negative 12. So I would write minus 12. So you see right there, they're the exact same. So this one would also have infinitely many solutions because each side equals 3x minus 12. Okay, on to the next section. They simply just want us to solve these for x. We're just going to solve them. So the first equation, negative 20 equals 6x plus 1. First thing I need to do is get rid of that plus 1. So I'm going to subtract 1 on each side. You get negative 21 equals 6x. Divide by 6 on each side. Now my answer will be negative because I have a negative divided by a positive. 6 goes into 21 3 times. That puts you at 18, so you'd have 3 left over. So this would be negative 3.5 equals x once I simplify that. Next equation, we have 6 times the quantity of x minus 3 equals 9x plus 4x minus 5. All right, so got to use the distributive property. So that becomes 6x minus 18. Over here, I can combine my x's to be 13x, but then I still have the minus 5. Make sure you take that sign that's right in front of it. I'm going to get my x's together on one side, so I'm going to subtract 6x from each side. So on the left, notice you have negative 18 equals, this will be 7x minus 5. Add 5 to each side. So negative 13 equals 7x, and then I'll divide by 7. So x will equal negative 1 and 6/7. And if you want to do these as decimals, that's fine too. It's not specific as to how they want it. Okay, last problem. Okay, it says Paige paid $5.25 for 3 pounds of candy. Assuming each pound of candy costs the same, complete the table and the graph. So they have that in the table. First thing you need to do is to find the unit rate. So we're going to take the cost per pound. So that was $5.25 for 3 pounds. When you divide that out, you get $1.75. So that's what it costs for 1 pound of candy. So that's going to come right here in this box. And then for each one, I'm just going to take $1.75 times however many pounds of candy are in there. So go ahead and fill that in, and you can check your answer here in just a second. Okay, so here's the table all filled in with how much it costs for each poundage of candy. And then they want you to make a graph. So on our graph, here's what it'll look like when it's filled in. You have the cost going up the side, pounds of candy going along the bottom on the x-axis. So 1 pound cost $1.75, and so on. 4 pounds cost $7, all the way up through 9 pounds. You can see that it's linear, and that is because it was a constant rate for the amount of candy. It costs the same for each pound of candy. So your test is tomorrow, so make sure you take this home, read through everything.